listening to all this Chargers stuff after the Chargers get their butts kicked by the Chiefs, and you guys want to start off a show?
We weren't talking Chargers. We weren't talking Chargers behind the scenes. Don't worry. We are back on the MJT Football Channel. We got you guys with a Week 11 recap this week. Zero's already in the comments saying, what is happening? It was originally scheduled for 3:30. No, that was 3:30 Mars time, Zero, which is 1:10 California time, and we are perfectly on time. I'm joined with my co-host, Tony Tucker and Joe Morley. Tony, how you doing? A little rough week for us as Chargers fans, but are you still holding in there?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Frustrating, but it's that beautiful time of year. I've been forcing the season, Christmas season, my favorite time. We already got the tree up. The front yard is decorated. The house outside looks great. People are already driving by and enjoying it. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow's meal. So I'm doing amazing.
Joe, first time the Raiders win on a week that the Chargers lose this season. Who would have known it was going to happen in the week of Thanksgiving? I mean,
I did.
Took a while, but optimistic. Raiders going on a winning streak.
I'm very disappointed in Charger fans. Let me tell you, I was at SoFi Stadium, Mike. You know I was there. I was standing there at their little tailgate area that they have inside the stadium. They had a big old screen with all the red zone, and nobody said anything when the Raiders won. It was just real quiet, and I started yelling. There's a video of me saying Chargers suck, and all the people just walk on by. Like, come on, not one guy could be like, no, Raiders suck, or any, like, you can't say nothing back. You can't even defend your own team. It's pretty sad, man. In SoFi Stadium, you let me talk about your own damn team, and not one person could say something.
Well, Jake was there, right?
Jake was too busy. Jake was too busy doing his own thing.
I thought Jake was probably standing there like, go ahead, say something about the Raiders. Go ahead.
Joe, you're 6'4", 350 bills on a light day, my friend. Who the fuck is going, oh, eat a dick? They don't know if you're crazy. They don't know that you just want to talk shit. They're not trying to start a fight with you.
I'm crazy, Tony.
Joe, play the clips last year of me yelling fakers at the game. And none of the we're saying anything.
That's in your home stadium, so that you're the only one that has the balls to say something.
That ain't our stadium.
In my face.
If it's y'all's stadium, oh, sorry. We're really going over here. If it's y'all's stadium, keep the stadium. You can't go back and forth and say it's your stadium, it's my stadium, it's your stadium, it's my stadium, all right?
Anyways, it's Thanksgiving week. I want to thank everybody that participated in the NFL season this year that's not going to make the playoffs, like the Chargers and the Packers,
the Raiders,
and the Panthers, and all the good stuff.
And the Jets.
Zach Wilson. Oh, exotic Chief edits.
Zach Wilson. I was about to say after this weekend, because I think they're playing in SoFi again this weekend, right?
How do we block this guy? I can't have him on here. I'm timing out with Chiefs fans right now. Out of my life.
How about them Chiefs? They get the Chargers and then turn around and get the Rams. Like, all right, that's good scheduling for the NFL.
Yeah, if anyone owns anything, it's Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately. All right, where would you guys like to start? We can skip the Titans-Packers game because we already talked about that on the Pick'em show, right? That I didn't.
You're losing a lot of money for your electric bill for putting up Christmas stuff?
I lose a lot of money because my kids never shut any damn lights off. Like that, I'm not worried. Christmas lights bring joy, and that's what I'm all about. I'm losing more money because my kids leave on every light in the house.
Sounds like
I did the same thing you did, Tony. We put the tree up. We got everything up right now. It's already done. First time ever we've done it. We did it before Thanksgiving.
I love it. I've already started watching Christmas movies. I can't tell you guys enough. From like mid-November until January 2nd is my favorite time of year. I love it.
Well, Mike will tell you that his favorite Christmas movie is The Grinch because he's never seen great Christmas movies.
It is The Grinch. Also, I'm not the biggest fan of Christmas on top of it all. Bah humbug. Ain't gonna be no Christmas trees in this household, I'll tell you what.
I don't know if you guys got the invite, but I sent you guys the invite for the ugly Christmas sweater party. Mike, if you wear another one where you come in wearing Raider stuff, I will kick your ass out the door.
Is that
But
a warning or a threat?
We should get matching ugly sweaters.
We should work on this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
I
could
have
get-
an idea. We'll talk about it off camera.
We'll talk about it later.
Zero says that his Christmas tree never comes down.
It just stays up year round.
Well, he's Nightmare Before Christmas, so yeah.
Let's talk some football, people. What do we do? 5 minutes of these people's lives wasted.
Yeah, I've never.
Like nobody gives a damn about your trees and your
The
Chargers.
Titans beat the Packers. The Packers are toast. Do you guys want to talk about that game?
The fuck is up with all these people coming in?
Chargers. What happened?
Please subscribe, but don't talk about the.
Maybe we
Chargers.
should just start there. Maybe we should go back and start on Sunday night with that game, Mike, with the Chargers and the Chiefs. That's what everybody comes here for. They come here to see you and Tony crying on our YouTube page about how the Chargers should have beat the Chiefs.
I don't know what you want me to, I don't know what you want me to say. Like all of these games are coming down to 3 points, right? So if a team keeps losing games by a field goal, at some point, what's the difference? Like not the major difference, but coaching. We are suffering from a mass discrepancy in game planning, play calling, utilization, innovation, whatever Asians we want to put on this. It is constantly coming up short in the coaching department. Andy Reid's a genius. Steve Spagnuolo's getting deep in his bag. So like, what's the difference? What happened? Again, we see it time after time again. One team is coached up nicely and comes up big, and the other team just continues to shit the bed in the biggest moments. Again, 7 points in the second half in the last 8 quarters, leading both games against teams that they could have and should have beat. Not enough adjustments or not enough aggression was shown, and they come up with 7 points and 2 L's. Like, what are we supposed to say?
Yeah, and NBA world copied and pasted charges. What happened? You're missing an R there, buddy. Just helping you out. You can retype it out, recopy it, so you can do it the rest of the show. But yeah, the biggest thing for me is where is that aggression out of Staley all of a sudden? Right before half, we're in a situation where it's like, let's get 7 points. We're on the 1 yard line against the Kansas City Chiefs. You don't get that many opportunities to put up 7 against Patrick Mahomes late in the game when he's freaking going crazy. So you got to score when you get a chance to score. And that was the philosophy last year. Last year we were overly aggressive, going for it on 4th down every time we were within 10 yards of the end zone. This time, before half, we do a draw.
A toss sweep on the 1 yard line with the guy who's about to lead the league in touchdowns, Mike, who's 185 pounds at the goal line. We do a toss fucking sweep.
And then he kicked
right. Great call.
What I don't get is the first drive of the game for the Chargers. 5 plays, 75 yards, looked great coming out the gate. And then it's just like, let's pull back a little bit. It's like you guys pulled back quick. And I don't know. I was at the game. You guys had the lead the whole time. I was like, and I was telling Mike this, was it yesterday? Or I was telling somebody yesterday about the game. What was it? The second to last drive or third, like one of the last drives that the Chiefs were having. Derwin James came first down, came in there, blew Isaiah Pacheco out of the water, threw him down, went in there, made a huge sack on first down. And I was like, that right there, I go, oh, here it goes. Chargers going to win this game. They're going to put it away right now. Second down, I believe it was like a little short run. And then third down, wide open wide receiver for the first down. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm just sitting there laughing because I'm not like you guys. I'm not invested in this game. I'm just watching the Chiefs and the Chargers. And I'm just laughing like typical Chiefs game where they get everything. And then that final drive, Mike knows I was at the stadium. You guys know I was there. The final drive, right? And I'm standing there and I'm surrounded by Chiefs fans in SoFi Stadium. And it's third down and they call that defensive holding or whatever it was on the Chargers. And I just start laughing and I look at my uncle. My uncle was there and I said it real loud and all the Chiefs fans got pissed off. I go, it don't matter. Chiefs always get a call late in the game to help them out. And all the Chiefs fans, they had nothing to say. They couldn't be like, no, we don't. They had nothing to say. Like, they were just like, yeah, we do. Yeah, we basically do. Was it a push-off in the final on the last drive? Even my son Jake was yelling, where's the flag? Where's the flag? And we're way up high. We're looking at the game. So and we've talked about it all year, Tony. We've talked about it all year, and we should just go do it. We talked about breaking down every Chiefs game and going through and be like, look at this play that wasn't called. Look at this play that the Chiefs got. The Chiefs get the calls, and that's all that happens. And a lot of people are blaming Herbert for an interception at the end of the game. I don't blame him for that interception. That's you and then Mike and I talked about this too. We talked about, should the Chargers have wasted a little bit more time at the end of the game? No, because you score when you have to score. When you score, I don't like. We were talking about this, that if you get down to the 5-yard line, Tony, right, and you have the 5-yard line, and it's first and goal from the 5, and there's 2 minutes left. How much time do you want to waste? Do you want to put yourself in that position where you don't score and now you're kicking a field goal, or you're like, oh, it's third down and we have to score and it's 3rd and 2 now? No, I'd rather score on first down. If we leave a minute 42 left, hopefully we can make a stop. Derwin James was stopping Travis Kelce all day. It just happened to be one play that he got beat on.
Yeah, I hear you. And what's crazy is I'm sure Tony remembers this game. Was it last year, the first time we played them, or it might have been the last time we played them the year before that, where we have the ball and a chance to take the lead in a similar fashion with 2 minutes left in the game, and they just throw a touchdown pass to Mike Williams on first down. And yeah, we ended up getting out of that game. We got a lucky interception. Not really lucky. Mahomes overthrew a player, and our safety Gilman got the pick. But same exact situation, and no lessons were learned apparently from a couple of years ago. Same team, same quarterback, same tight end, same problems.
Last year, week 3 in KC when they got the win. Touchdown to Mike Williams. Mic'd up. The push-off at the end of the game, Bryce Callahan's mic'd up for the game. And he goes up to MVS after the game. And he says, hey, man, he's like, no push-off there or whatever. MVS admits to pushing off, like in the game. Like he just openly says, like, yeah, man, I got to do what I got to do. Like, I got to do. So not only that, but then the fact that they flagged Derwin for that, the entire game, all 4 quarters, the first 58 minutes of the game, they were allowing that interaction to take place. Not on every play, but every time those two were locking up in a big situation, that same interaction was happening on every play. And they wait till the final 2 minutes of a close football game to say, yeah, we can't have that happening anymore on this. Away from the fucking play. Like, it wasn't even like they were targeting him on that play. It was just that what they had tried on the other side of the field failed. And we need to find a way to keep this game interesting and keep Patrick Mahomes closer into the football game. Chiefs are probably going for it on 4th down, but we're going to guarantee that this game doesn't end with a stop. So Congratulations. That's how it goes. It was a penalty because they called it. It's a penalty because that's what they called it. My thing is like, how come it wasn't a penalty in quarters 1 through 4 up until the final 2 minutes of a football game? Like what's different there? And this is again why I say I just would love one referee, the head official, to come up to the podium after the game and say, this is why we did it. Because if they were to explain to me the difference of what changed in that moment or what changed here or there, like, then that's fine. Then I can be like, oh yeah, you're right. I didn't see it as it being the difference.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And at least you can see what his mindset is, what that ref is thinking. And it's not just a huge question mark. Like, did he just call that just because they wanted the Chiefs to win? Dare I say it? I mean, dare I bring it up to fruition? I will say this, with the controversial calls, whatever, I've refrained from even like talking about that much, especially on my TikTok page. I know I'm going to get toasted, but because the Chargers had chances to put that game away throughout the game, and they played passive in situations where they needed to be aggressive. They're overly aggressive in situations where you probably should have been a little bit more passive, like that last play. I know it's Derwin James. You trust Derwin James. But these guys have routes. They have stuff drawn up, stuff that they've been working together for, 5 years now? That's unguardable. They found those, and they found one of them on the last play there.
But even in that, so like in those situations, where like it's not the first time they've ran that play or that look or whatever. Like, I don't understand how there isn't more attention given to Travis Kelce in that. If we're not going to blitz and we're not going to double or leave somebody in the passing lane over the center in case Derwin does get caught up in something, like what is the plan there? Like what was I can't. We need to move on.
Yeah.
Bronson here is asking about trade for Amari Cooper.
You can always have crossing emergency pickups in place for plays. It's where if he starts crossing the field like he did, there's another DB on the opposite side that comes off of his zone or wherever he is to pick up Kelce. Let's go on to the next game. Let's talk about one that I'm really excited to talk about. What were your guys' thoughts on the Cowboys-Vikings game?
Joe, you want to start here?
Yeah, Joe, let them know how the Cowboys only face weak opponents and only beat weak opponents.
Hey, I said it at the beginning of last week. If the Cowboys came out and they beat the Vikings, I have to give a little bit of respect to the Dallas Cowboys for what they did. And my wife's like, now you have to respect the Cowboys. I said, no, I said a little bit of respect. So I give it to them. I'm watching I didn't get to watch the whole game, but I'm just watching the score, and I'm like, holy crap. And it just keeps going. It's 10, 17, 20, 30, 33, 37, or 40 nothing, or 40-3. And I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, what happened to the Minnesota Vikings? They just absolutely got destroyed. And maybe all the partying on their I think I saw a quote that they said, hey, now that we look back at it and we see it, we look how stupid we look on those airplane flights back from celebrating. Yeah, of course. But, hey, Minnesota's offensive line has been an issue all year. It just hasn't been this bad of an issue. I think this solidifies how great that defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys that we didn't think was going to be that good, or I didn't think so at the beginning of the season, has turned out to be. Dallas Cowboys defensive line is something for real down there. I'm not going to go and crown the Dallas Cowboys anything, but I think they made themselves known as an NFC favorite in a weak NFC right now, that the Dallas Cowboys can be that team that represents the NFC. They just knocked off one of the top teams, I think, in the NFC. Can they knock off the Eagles? That's the next thing.
I'm with you. Tony, what was your thoughts?
My thoughts were, I'm happy that they didn't have back-to-back shit games after I had said that I was starting to see the Cowboys as a real contender. And they had the horrible fourth quarter in Green Bay. I don't want the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. I don't like the Cowboys. I do like Dak Prescott. I do like Zeke. I like Micah Parsons. I hate the Cowboy fans. So I don't want them to enjoy anything. That's not anything personal to the Cowboys themselves. It's the fans that I have just never liked, never enjoyed having conversations with them ever. So like when I'm sitting there watching the game and it's like, oh, this is why when tomorrow when we do our show and we sit here and I want to pick the Vikings tomorrow. Like I really do. But in a big spot, Kirk Cousins, it's not like it was just him. The entire team just looked shell-shocked. They looked outmatched at every aspect of the game. But still, there was still nothing where I could see. It's Justin Jefferson. The week before, you literally just threw the ball up blindly to him, and he made a great play.
Yeah.
You're telling me that you can't come in and game plan to have Justin Jefferson do more than what he was capable of doing in that game? And it's not like they only have him. They have Hawkinson. They have all these stuff. They were overmatched in every single portion of that game. And sometimes I think, like, isn't that the quarterback's jobs or Zadarius Smith or Patrick Peterson to gather everybody up down 21 and say this shit has to stop? Whether we win or lose this game, the next possession for whatever side of the ball we're on, we have to bust somebody in the mouth. We have to just make a statement and let them know, let them feel us that we're in this moment, whatever it is. And the Cowboys just did whatever they wanted. It was an absolute beatdown. I don't think the Cowboys are a 40-3 team, and I don't think the Vikings are a 3-40 team. Like I think that it was just one of those games where the Vikings didn't show up and the Cowboys wanted people to know what they're capable of. Because as much as I don't trust Kirk Cousins in that big spot, I don't necessarily love Dak Prescott in the big spot either. So it's not like I'm that much more over the moon about it.
So let me ask you this, Tony, before Mike gives his thing. I think this game helped the Cowboys more in their confidence than it hurt the Minnesota Vikings in their confidence. You agree with that?
I would agree with that statement. That I think that they needed that. They needed that momentum for two reasons. One, to let everybody know that, like, when the Eagles beat them down, the Cowboys were like, you thought you beat them bad. We thumped these dudes in like a primetime style spot late in the game. And then also, that was the final pitching point for Odell Beckham Jr., which now I don't think they're even going to get OBJ pre-Rams. But if they can get him in there and he can be somebody who can come in and give them 30 snaps a game to take a little bit more pressure off CD and Michael Gallup and Dalton Schultz and help out Pollard and whatever, he adds another level, another wrinkle, a little bit more dynamic team to have OBJ back and healthy for a playoff run. And I think that moment, that thumping solidified OBJ will be a Cowboy by next week, Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm saying probably this week, but by next Thursday.
Yeah. I think that the Giants and the Cowboys go against each other tomorrow on Thanksgiving. So the Cowboys should win that game. We'll see how it goes. But once they win that game, it's pretty much confirmed that OBJ is going to be a Cowboy, I think. And that works out for OBJ because, like we were talking about last year, that Rams situation was genius for him because he can still beat one-on-one coverage. And you can't leave CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz and Pollard and Zeke in the backfield without loaded boxes. There's going to be distractions to distract from OBJ, and then OBJ gets that one-on-one coverage, and that's where he's going to strive this late in his career with all the injuries and just not being the same player he once was. But yeah, this is big, and it kind of went the way I thought it was going to go, but not necessarily this much of a blowout fashion. I think I had the Cowboys winning by 10 points and the game being close into the fourth quarter. But I just had a feeling that the Cowboys, that game that they sold against the Packers, they lost that game off of mistakes. Late game collapse. They lock in. They get frustrated. They have a really good week of practice. Micah Parsons has shown that mentality possessed within that locker room. And the Vikings were the complete opposite. They're riding high, pulling off crazy upsets, having another team collapse on them, and then they're dancing on the plane. And you're running kind of a buzzsaw here where one team is hungry all week. The other team is celebrating all week. And this is what happens. You get torched. These are two playoff teams. And I still think these are two playoff teams after the game. And this could be an NFC Championship preview. And I hope that if it is, it goes the same way.
What do you guys think about Tony Pollard after that game?
I still think the same of him.
Yeah, I feel the same way I felt about Tony Pollard since his rookie season. Like, he's a guy who is super dynamic, but I don't want him necessarily being the guy that I'm going to rely on. I think you need to have somebody else next to him, like Zeke, who is going to carry the ball 12 to 15 times a game. I don't want Tony Pollard having 240 to 280 carries a season because it lessens his ability to be effective later in the game. Alvin Kamara's most successful season was before they started thinking, oh, we're going to give this guy 250 carries a year. Like that, what makes these guys so dynamic is health being on their side. So I've always loved Tony Pollard. I think a lot of these kids that have come out of Memphis, they can play, they can ball in the NFL. There's like 4 running backs right now from Memphis that have been drafted in the last 5 years, and they can all play pretty well. There was talk about Darrell Henderson. He's now on the Jaguars, according to the reporting in our chat here. I don't know how accurate that is. I don't think somebody asked if that affects Travis Etienne Jr. I don't think this affects Etienne at all.
It's like a smaller scale version of Zeke. Not even close. But yeah, a similar mindset there. But yeah, it is a day and age now where in the NFL, RB committees are desired. It used to be you look for your workhorse guy that's going to dominate every play that you give him the football. But now people are going towards these RB committees where you got different guys that are good at different things. Some of ththese guys that are, the RB2s or the receiving backs and offenses, J.D. McKissick, Tony Pollard, and others are borderline wide receivers. I mean, they're fast. They can run routes, and they can take screens to the house in any moment.
Yeah. And Zero, not all Cowboy fans are awful. It's just a majority. It's like a very vocal majority of Cowboy fans that are terrible. Because Zero has my stock falling down. So Zero, while we don't necessarily have beef, I'm talking about the ones that are just so obnoxious when they haven't been good in 25 years.
Those Cowboys fans don't exist, Tony. Come on.
No.
And they've been good. They had a couple Romo seasons. They've had a couple of Dak seasons. But overall, like, just the shit that they talk is obnoxious.
Even those great seasons have ended in disappointment. On to another game that was a little bit surprising by the score. I thought the Bengals were going to win this game. I picked the Bengals to win this game. But I did not think it was going to be in this fashion. Their offense really elevated. And usually Pittsburgh does really well against the Bengals offense, and they slow them down. I expect this to be kind of a low-scoring game with the struggles at quarterback for the Steelers. But, Joe, what are you thinking about this 37-30 outcome? High-scoring game?
Yeah, but it was never really as close as the final score looks if you were watching this game. And for Joe Mixon to get knocked out and for Samardzija Perine to come in and do what he did, like, that's crazy. To me, what's up with Cincinnati? You still don't got a running game. So it all falls on Joe Burrow's shoulders. Steelers, I don't know what's up with the Steelers. I still don't know what to make of Kenny Pickett, because at some point he looks great. Then the next game he looks like a game manager and just doing his thing. And I don't know. I'm not going to come out here and say the Bengals did what, I mean, got a car coming by. The Bengals played the Steelers, and this is going to be the first time in Mike Tomlin's career, unless somehow the Steelers can go 6-1 in the final 7 games. This will be the first time that Mike Tomlin has an under 500 team in his coaching career in 16 years. I just think, I don't know. I'm not going to crown the Bengals, Tony. You know the Bengals aren't. I don't think the Bengals are that great of a team. I think they're just playing some down teams, and this was one of them. I don't even know how to explain this game, because I'm watching the fourth quarter of this game, and the way it's going back and forth, and it was like, oh, here comes the Steelers, and then they miss a field goal, and they do all this, and it's like, never mind. It's like, I just think the Bengals have been benefiting from some crappy play of their opponents.
I think the game was close at some point, right? Wasn't it like 23-24 in the fourth quarter or something like that? Kenny Pickett is a rookie, Joe. And this is the problem, is he's doing more positive than negative overall, right? And what we don't get is everybody wants to think he should come out and be a viable starter in year one. That is not a realistic expectation for any rookie, really, at any position. Like, it doesn't matter if you're picked in the first round. There's still going to be a learning curve, especially with the way he played offense in college. And if you go back and look at his tape, most of the players he was throwing to were super wide open. The receiver that he played with transferred to USC is going to be a first-round pick in the NFL this year. So, like, this Kenny Pickett is going to be just fine. Like, I don't know how great he'll be. I don't know if I necessarily see him as like a franchise guy, or if I see him more like kind of in that Andy Dalton prime Bengals category, which, by the way, is perfectly fine. Mike Tomlin can win a lot of games with prime Andy Dalton as long as they continue to have a sustained defense. The Bengals, on the other hand, it is really weird what they're doing and how they're winning and the way that they're winning. They play Tennessee this week, a tough team that is going to take away the run, that is going to sack him a lot. We already saw that. They should have. And I think this team thinks we kind of got effed by them last year in that game. I think there's a lot of anger on that team of whatever was going on. I think Ryan Tannehill also has something to say about how that game went last year. The Bengals have a tough schedule down the stretch. I'm not sure how this works out for him, but I will say this. Joe Burrow will earn a lot of admiration from me if he gets this team to the playoffs. If you look at the Bengals schedule, it's fucking brutal. It is absolutely like week after week, just teams are going to be coming and thumping this team. And if Burrow and that offense can stay together, I will be extremely impressed if the Bengals find a way to get into the playoffs.
Tennessee, Kansas City, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, New England, Buffalo, Baltimore. That's their finishing schedule.
And that Cleveland game is with Deshaun Watson.
And he gets a couple games back. Like, it's not first game back. He's going to get a couple of games under his belt, and he's going to be out there, which makes it that much tougher. And they know you. It's a divisional opponent. It's not like the Browns are going to be playing an out-of-division opponent, that they don't get a lot of tape on them. I don't even think that he's ever beaten the Browns. Isn't that the stat? Like, he's like 0-5 against Cleveland.
The Browns beat him 32-13 on Halloween too.
Yeah, like it's a really tough schedule for the Bengals starting this week, and like I said, I will not that Joe Burrow does not give a shit about my admiration for him. I'm not pretending like that fucking matters at all. I'm just saying the way I speak about him going forward, if he gets this team into the playoffs, it'll be much more favorable than it has been in the past.
Yeah, they're a 6-win team right now. It feels like, looking at their schedule, I didn't even realize how tough it is that they probably wanted to be like a 7-8 win team at this point in the season to have a super positive outlook. That's crazy. I think the Titans are going to take care of them. I think they're going to clean them up pretty easily. Derrick Henry's going to run the ball, keep the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands, and it's going to be 24-10. Something
You can't be giving up your picks already. You're ruining our show on Friday or Saturday.
Let's go on to the next game. I agree with you guys. I think that the Bengals offense impressed me just because they can just throw at all costs, even though the opponent knew they're throwing late in the game and against a good pass rush. But it's not looking too good for the defense. The offensive line still looks a little bit shaky. There's no rushing game. It just doesn't seem like that's a formula for success throughout the course of the entire season. We'll see how it goes for them. On to the Raider-Bronco game. Joe, you want to open it up with your thoughts on your Raiders winning in overtime over the Broncos? It's a really good defense. So even though you guys scored 22 points, you got to be a little excited about that.
Well, I guess the Raiders are the only team to put up 20 points on the Broncos this year, something like that. And they've done it twice. They've done it 2 times. And I don't know. Melvin Gordon gave us a gift when he fumbled the ball going into the end zone again. You guys saw that. But here's one takeaway I'll take from the Raiders. They didn't look like a team that has quit yet. So they came out here. Derek Carr did a little crying thing, got the team. They looked slow in the first half, but came out. They actually had the number 1 offense in efficiency this week, and they went against the top defense in the Denver Broncos. But every drive finished in Denver territory or in the opponent's territory, which was very good. I do have some gripe against the referees and the NFL. You guys want to claim player safety, and you let Davante Adams take a big helmet shot to the head, and then when he cries about it, you throw the flag on him. You throw the flag on the guy that takes a helmet hit from Simmons straight to the head, and then you want to go, oh, we care about player safety. You don't give a damn about player safety. You would replay it, and you would throw people out of the game. Simmons hit Davante Adams straight in the head, and they called nothing. They called the 15-yard flag on Davante Adams because he called the ref out on it. Anyways, Davante Adams took a lot of heat this week. A lot of people saying that he's washed up, should have stayed in Green Bay, and he was going against one of the best cornerbacks in the league in Patrick Surtain, and he made Surtain look stupid and look like the second-year player that he was, and he set him up all game just for that last 35-yard touchdown in overtime to win the game. But, it's the Raiders, Tony, so you got to be happy about what happened.
Well, you're delirious if you think that they waited 4.5 quarters to use that to set them up all game because they knew they were going to need an overtime. Like, that should have been whatever. I think the penalty came because he was talking about dirty things he was going to do to that referee or his wife. It wasn't that he complained about it. It was the aggressiveness in which he said, I will come to your house and do terrible things.
I was impressed by that by Tay, actually, because he knew he was getting a flag before he said the words that he was going to say. You could tell by the look in his eyes how when they threw the flag, he did not stop talking and didn't react at all, that he already was like, all right, you're not going to throw it for the helmet, throw it for this. And he said something bad to that ref.
I I felt more like he was trying to make sure that they were not going to take him out of the game for for a couple plays on it. And he was like, you're not going to throw a flag, but yet some jackass up in the stands has the ability to call down to the sidelines and say that I need to be evaluated for head trauma and potentially be taken out of this game. So F you and your turkey and your Thanksgiving and everything else, I'm going to hit the showers.
Oh,
I will say this. You look at that. You're looking at that. Your kid's collecting Chargers memorabilia. That a boy, Jake. Bolt up, buddy. I think this about the Raiders. I hope that I want the Raiders to lose, number one. Number two, I want the Raiders to lose faith in Derek Carr. And because I want them to trade away Derek Carr. The Raiders have this weird situation where they can't quit, Joe, because a lot of these players in this team have to not only play for spots on other teams in the NFL next year when they get carted off because Josh McDaniels doesn't want them there, but they also might want to actually stick around in Las Vegas. So they have to put good tape out there because they're already seeing what this group is doing to their team midseason, cutting first-round picks that they have there, not giving contracts to maybe the second best player on the offense coming into the season. I know we want to look at Darren Waller or Hunter Renfrow or some of these other guys that are on there as like being really good. Josh Jacobs was right there behind Devontae Adams coming into the season. So all of these guys have something to play for. You guys can't quit on the season. Like you're saying we didn't quit. They have no choice. They want jobs next year.
Yeah. And I think that that ship's already sailed, Tony. A guy with somehow a much worse hairdo than me, somehow has a worse hairdo than me, and a guy who is somehow worse at coaching than me, have already made that decision that Derek Carr is probably done in Vegas. But Tay did flex that he is still the best wide receiver in football on the worst team in football. I mean, he went off, and you could tell that a lot of it was film study. He went and watched the last game, saw what Surtain was doing, saw how Surtain was reacting to different routes and different moves, and he started hitting him with more pump fakes. That's what makes Tay so great, is that he has that IQ and wherewithal to go back and say, okay, so he got me on this, so I'm going to show that, but actually go this direction. That's what happened on that last play as well on the touchdown. I think Tay even broke it down. He's like, I saw something from the last game where he broke on that, and I knew that if I got that route late in the game, I was going to call it and tell Carr to throw it to me. So that worked out. But you got to be upset if you're the Broncos seeing this offense struggling still this far into the season. Like Nathaniel Hackett has to be done. The Raiders have, and even Joe will say it, the Raiders have one of the worst defenses in the NFL right now. And they held the Broncos to 16 points.
Matt Ryan ran for 39 yards,
Exactly.
a 39-yard run. And Russell Wilson, you try to pass it on a play that it was, I don't know. Russell Wilson is horrible, and that whole offense is bad. And we knew going into the game how bad it was going to be, but we had no words for this Denver offense. Everybody keeps putting these stats out there, and I hate seeing it. And I don't like the Broncos would be 9-1 if they just scored 18 damn points a game. Yeah, it's true, but God,
they were a QB away. They were a QB away.
I will say this about Russell Wilson, and there's no way to prove what I'm about to say. It feels a little bit like he doesn't want to get the offense or get what's going on because he wants Nathaniel Hackett to be fired. Like he's not trying to lose games or do whatever, but he's out there saying, I want to play the way I want to play. And if that ends up means we're losing games, that means that you won't be here. Because they're going to side with me because they just gave me a new contract and they're going to pay me millions and millions of dollars. And it is much harder to find a winning quarterback in this league than it is to find the next coach that could come in. And there's a lot of coaches out there, I think, that would be very happy to be part of a stable organization like the Denver Broncos.
And not to get sidetracked, Mike, I'm just going to let you know we can talk about this in the offseason. Derek Carr's not going nowhere.
Oh, here we go.
I really hope he does.
And Jet fans are hoping. I get a lot of Jet fans in my comments right now saying they hope Derek Carr ends up on the Jets next year.
That'd be perfect for him.
I think Jimmy G is going to the Jets. I think he's going to get a nice contract for the Jets.
Speaking about Jimmy G, you want to go to that game, 49ers Cardinals?
There's not
Yeah.
much.
There's not much to say.
Not
about
much
it.
to say. Not much to say, but we could talk about it.
Yeah, got a Super Bowl contending team just washing now what's turning into one of the worst teams in the league right now. Fade the Cardinals, right, Joe? You're right about that one.
Well, I just got a report that looks like Kyler's healthy.
Oh, great. Just in time.
Oh, Call of Duty, he beat the game or what?
Just in time. I was hoping
Hey,
we were
let's just say the fact that Cliff Kingsbury has his job this morning is unbelievable, crazy to me. Like I'm shocked that he still has his job. One, we've seen the fighting on the sideline the last couple of weeks building up, right? We've seen him and Kyler, Hopkins, all that. We saw Buda Baker on Sunday night call the 49ers or the Cardinals out for quitting on the field. You saw it. I sent you guys that little clip on that George Kittle touchdown where the guy just made a business decision and just went like this and let George Kittle get an extra 5 yards and score the touchdown. Or the Arizona Cardinals are quitting on the field. They didn't want to be out there in the second half. You could just tell by their body language, right? Then you had to fire 2 coaches today because of groping incidents down in Mexico. You lost your whole organization. You should not be the head coach of that team when you can't even control your own coaches when you guys go on road trip.
Hold up. Just let it go one more week, please. Just one more week. Let him be the coach. I got no alternative motives. I just want Cliff Kingsbury to get one more chance at one more game this week. Man. The freaking Cardinals are bad.
Honestly, here's the thing. This isn't a Cliff problem, and it's going to take longer for what I'm about to say to reveal itself. This is a Kyler problem. This is you invested in a guy who's super talented, but is not invested, in my estimation, at the level that you need to be commanding that much money and have that much control and effect over the game. It feels like a Jay Cutler situation where you're super talented, but like, are you doing every little tiny thing that it takes to get that little extra edge? Because we've seen at different points this year where the defense comes to play and the offense just lets them down. And we're looking at it where, like, at certain points over the last 2 weeks, Colt McCoy seemed to be better at navigating an offense than Kyler Murray. And that should not be the case. Like, it should not be the case where a backup who's clearly established himself as one of the better backups, but should not be able to come in and make the offense look and function at a higher level than somebody that you just gave $250 million guaranteed to, or whatever the number was. I don't know the number that he got, but he got a lot of guaranteed money. I think that this is the bigger problem here, whether it's Cliff or whoever it is they have somebody who throws tantrums who doesn't know. Like, you're doing a robbery and the same guy keeps botching the job. He's going to keep getting people landed in jail, and whether it's coaches or other players or whatever it is. If DeAndre Hopkins has a chance to get out to another team with his final couple of years of really being a game changer, he should get the hell out of there.
And they're calling him steroid boy now, the 49ers are? They're calling DeAndre Hopkins steroid boy?
That's messed up.
Well, I mean, whatever you got to do, to me, that kind of shit shouldn't affect you. Like, no. You know what you did, and if you really didn't do anything wrong, even if you did do something wrong, fuck you. I don't give a shit. I'll take whatever I can, because I guarantee that there are tons of players out there who are taking every single advantage they can and hoping they don't get caught, because that's what you do. So even if I get caught, eat shit. I'm still one of the best players, one of the best receivers of the last 25 years. I'd have DeAndre Hopkins somewhere in my top 20 over the last 25 years of receivers. Like, eat shit. I don't care. I'll take whatever.
If the Cardinals change coaching staffs, it will be after the Charger game, because that's when they go on their bye week.
Okay, that makes sense. I just don't want any kind of like moral switches all of a sudden. They go to a rich.
I'm with you, Mike. Leave him out there. Leave that. I hope Kyler comes in the middle of a fucking play, calls a timeout, and tries to fire Kingsbury, pushing him off the sideline. Get out of here.
Well, is that what it's going to have to take? Like, a little fight on. Like that's what it seems like is going to happen. It seems like there's going to be a big fight on the sideline at one of these Arizona games,
like an explosion, and it's going to be Kyler missed a read. Kingsbury tried to correct him, and it starts an argument. That's probably what's going to happen. But when every other quarterback misses a read and they come to the sideline and their coach goes, "Why the fuck did you miss that read?" They don't start yelling back at their coach.
Who has Kyler's back in any scenario? You have like one of the greatest receivers, in my opinion, Larry Fitzgerald, taking shots at him. You have Steve Young kind of taking some low key. Like these are nice guys that are talking about like Kyler. Nobody in the organization is stepping up in his position. No teammates. Where's the teammate that comes and says like, "Oh, Kyler's this, that, and whatever"? Like, I would like if somebody came and said something like, "Oh, this, that, and whatever." I would like for you guys to be like, "No, I know Tony personally. He's good. If we need advice, if we need a hand, if we need whatever, like vouch for me, right?" I don't hear anybody coming to say what a nice, great, whatever. There's no positive superlatives coming out about Kyler Murray. That's a problem. Long term, short term, every term you can think of for the Cardinals organization.
Yeah, I wonder how many rushing yards he's going to have this week. Well, Cardinals, Cowboys, Chargers, Bengals, Raiders. But how about them Lions, Joe? How about them Detroit Lions?
How about them Detroit Lions? I'm the only one that come out here every week and Mike says, "Stop picking the Lions. Stop picking the Lions." And I said, "No, Mike, I'm picking the Lions over the 7-2 Giants because the Giants haven't impressed me at all. The Giants have been pulling wins out of their ass somehow and continuing to win with the garbage team that they have. And yes, they are now 7-3 after the Lions. The Detroit Lions dominated this game from start to finish. Jamal Williams making a name for himself. We all know that we were all waiting for DeAndre Swift, but the best running back in there is Jamal Williams because he stays healthy and he does what he needs to do. Hey, and Mike, have you guys? When's the last time you've seen a Lions team dominate somebody like this? It's been a long time since we've seen the Lions do this. Is this not? Am I mistaken? How many wins in a row is this for the Lions? Three wins in a row.
They're killing it.
And it should have been 4 if they would have got that pass interference or not. I'm thinking of the Bears, but they had a good game against the Miami Dolphins the week before that. They could have beat. So this is basically 4 games in a row that the Detroit Lions have showed up and played against, played quality games. And I know Tony's laughing because he's saying Dan Campbell ain't nothing, but Dan Campbell got this team locked in, Tony, locked in going into Thanksgiving tomorrow.
I'm not laughing about that. I'm laughing about Harrison. Happy Thanksgiving, Harrison, and Zero, and David, and Albert, and everybody else in here. Hope you guys all have a beautiful holiday, whatever you're doing. Eat a lot of food, enjoy football and family, and if you're old enough, adult beverages. It's a great day. I don't know why I like the Lions, and I want them to win. I really do. I root for the Lions. But I don't pick them to win because it's not smart. I think it's the first 3-game winning streak they've had since 2016. They're not going to win tomorrow. Spoiler for our picks tomorrow, and they're not going to beat the Bills on Thanksgiving. Although they've had some very shocking things. I do think they'll put up a fight and they'll make the game more interesting than previously we would have thought in the 3 weeks before. I just wish last year my hot take in fantasy was Jamal Williams will outscore DeAndre Swift. That was my hot take last year for fantasy football, and it was just a year early. That was it. Was that Jamal Williams was that guy. I drafted him that way. I didn't draft any DeAndre Swift, and Swift crushed last year. So, I saw that. I think it's actually a good thing for DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams to have that as your backfield pairing. The Lions, the more I watch them, they're a quarterback away.
Don't put that on them, Tony.
Hang on. They're a quarterback away from being a playoff, like a legit playoff conversation team. If I said next year the Detroit Lions have, and then you can put in a number of different quarterbacks, if they had Derek Carr, if they had, because here's the other thing. what do we think is going to happen with the Packers? Do the Vikings put together back-to-back good seasons? We haven't seen that in a while. How far can the Bears come along with the way that they're playing? So, like, they get a couple key components on defense and just Ryan Tannehill. Just give them a quarterback that's going to get it done. Taylor Heineke, give them a quarterback who's going to get out there and make big, gutsy plays when you need them. It's just not Jared Goff. So, like, any number of quarterbacks, and it's not Baker Mayfield. You're not pawning off Baker to the Lions. I don't care. Dan Campbell and Baker Mayfield press conferences, that would be prime time. But don't do that to the Lions. They don't need that kind of headache. On the other side, the Bears. We talked about this last week. And Joe said to me, are you ready to admit that Justin Fields has finally arrived and whatever else? And Joe, it's not sustainable. This type of play from Justin Fields, you can't play like that in the NFL. I don't care if you bulk up. I don't care if you do whatever you do. If you play that style of football where you're playing running back more than you're playing quarterback, you're injured. You can't make it through 17 games in the NFL season like that. It's not doable. Justin Fields, I said the game plan should have been, you get the Lions, have him throw the ball 35 times. He then got forced into having to throw the football in that game because he was in so much pain and didn't want to take any more hits on his shoulder. But the game plan going into that game, the Bears should have crushed them, and they should have allowed Justin Fields to throw the entire game. Just throw the football and only run the football 5 or 6 times. And I know that's not what fantasy people want, but now all the people who invested in Justin Fields might not even have him this week because he's abusing his body to try and get meaningless wins in a football season instead of developing what he's going to need in the future, which is passing from the pocket.
Yeah. Like this idiot right here who freaking picked up Justin Fields a couple weeks on a bunch of leagues before he broke out. So I got him for free. And then when he broke out, started trading my quarterbacks away.
Josh, I watched it and I was like, Mike's going to regret this shit.
Yeah, I do already, actually. Well, by the playoffs, I'm sure Fields will be back scoring 40 points a game again. It'll be all fine, and I'll win the championship. Back to the Lions. The thing about the Lions, I also think they need a new head coach. I also think they need help on defense. And I also think they need a new quarterback. They got a 3-win streak. Congratulations. It's all coming out of heart. It's all coming out of in here, which is what they have. And that's something to be proud of. But that's something that's going to get you 5-6 wins every year over and over and over and over again. And until it's proven otherwise, until they have a new coach in there, I'm not really going to.
But the kid they drafted number 2, Hutchinson, from Michigan, playing for Michigan, he's playing a lot better than I thought he would. Like he's smart enough. He's dropping back in passing lanes and getting interceptions and getting batted balls. He's playing the run better than I thought that he would. Like I thought Trayvon Walker should have been the first overall pick. Like that was the guy that I would have taken number 1 overall. But Aiden Hutchinson is playing like crazy good football. Every time I watch the Lions, he's making multiple plays in a game.
They've realized that he's not necessarily just like a straight pass rusher. He's actually kind of an all-around athlete that can do a lot of different things. And they're starting to use him a little bit more. He's closer to like a Bosa than those guys. But anyways,
once he gets
those skills up. He gets his skills, his moves, his pass rush moves up.
The Lions just beat a great New York Giants football team. They dominated the New York Giants football team. A team that I don't know.
I don't know Danny's performance in this game.
They're 4-6, right? They're 4-6. They play Buffalo tomorrow. They play the Jaguars, the Vikings, the Jets, Panthers, Bears, and Packers.
2 more wins.
I say 3.
2 or 3.
I don't know. I see at least 8 wins for them. So I see at least 4 more wins.
Well, I'm gonna catch Joe in the pick'ems if he's picking the Lions like that every week.
I might even pick the Lions tomorrow, but I don't know because you have to tune in if you watch us tomorrow morning to know what I'm picking because I'm not giving no spoilers away today.
Plug for tomorrow's show. Can we just briefly touch on the fact that like Daniel Jones? Anybody?
The situation is in New York when they get out of a situation where they can no longer run the ball. When they run into teams like the Lions that have a little bit more juice on offense. The Giants' offense can't keep up when they end up in a game like this.
Thank you. I don't even need to say anything else. 'Cause I feel like everybody keeps going, why do you hate Daniel Jones? Like I've had other people people that are like, hey, I caught the show. Like Daniel Jones is winning. What don't you like about him? He's not the quarterback of the Giants. He's not the future quarterback of the Giants. That's all I'm saying. He's a good backup. He's probably a great locker room guy. If they give him franchise quarterback money, that will ruin Brian Daboll's time.
Well, even worse, give him franchise money and then start investing in passing weapons and start passing the ball. And it's too late by then. You're gonna find out in the first game when you try and throw the ball 40 times like he had to in this game that they're.
I'd rather give minimum money to Sam Darnold next year and see if he can work with Sam Darnold.
Speaking about Sam Darnold, he's starting this week.
Yeah.
Along with Davis Mills got benched, along with Zach Wilson got benched. So a lot of new starters at quarterback this week.
Ooh, wait, who's playing in Houston?
What's his name?
Who is it starter in Houston?
Kyle Allen.
Oh yeah, Kyle
Allen. Oh man, here we go. Which games?
What game you guys want to jump to?
We can do Harrison's game. We can do the Panthers game because I have some nice things that I want to say about Steve Wilkes that I don't think he's going to get to keep that job, and I don't think he's going to get another head coaching job. But he got screwed in Arizona in his one shot. And the Panthers, the way that they are playing football, after trading away some talent and the fight that they have and the fact that they have to go into a game with Baker Mayfield as their starting quarterback, and they're still out there leaving it everything they have. This defense is for real. I think Steve Wilkes can coach. I think he seems to be a good motivator. Again, this might be another situation where these guys, they have to leave every possible thing that they can on good tape on film, and they have so much talent on that defense. Another team, to me, give them a solid starting quarterback, and we're in the playoff conversation because of how good one aspect of their football team is. The Lions have weapons on offense. Give them a quarterback. They could be in a conversation. Give this other team a startable quarterback in the league. And Jared Goff is borderline. He borders on the lower end of that. But still, the Panthers are hanging around with teams, in my estimation, they should be getting destroyed. I didn't think that this game was even going to be close. And then I'm watching it, I'm like, damn, this defense is so good. Look at J.C. Horn out there making plays. It's fucking crazy. I don't know. I watch it, I'm like, this team plays so hard. It's nuts.
They've got some players on defense. J.C. Horn, Brian Burns, Bros Mathos is coming along nicely in his development. Jeremy Chin is still there. There's some young players in that secondary that have some bright futures. And if they stay together, they're going to be really good next year. They're already really good this year. Joe, go Ravens, right? Ravens right now are 6 of the last 7.
Yeah, something like that, right? And okay, so I'm with Tony with this because I thought the Ravens were going to blow the Panthers out. I thought it wasn't going to be even close. And then at the end of the third quarter, when it's 3-3, you're like, what the hell is going on? So is this part of the Ravens being figured out, or is this just the Panthers playing a lot better? And I'm trying to figure that out, Tony. To me, it's are the Ravens as good as their record is saying, or are they just going against teams like the Panthers that just can't get it together all the way? I think it has to do with both. To be honest with you, I think the Ravens are. We have built them up to be a better team in our heads than what they are on the field, and this proved it against the Carolina Panthers. And like you said, I like Steve Wilkes. We said it when he was hired that it, like you just said it a couple minutes ago about the Arizona, that he got screwed there. He's doing a great job. The defense is actually playing the way the Carolina Panthers defense is supposed to be playing, that we talked about in the offseason, that they had a great defense. It was just if they were going to get their offense together. But I don't know. I'm just saying good win by the Ravens. But now to me, it shows me that the Ravens just aren't there and aren't ready for another Super Bowl run.
I'll make this the last thing. I think the Ravens are the Ravens are so dependent on playing good defense and Lamar Jackson's legs staying healthy. If he does that, they will be right there with the Chiefs, with the Bills, with all the other top teams in the AFC competing for a Super Bowl, because Lamar Jackson is different. And that's fantastic. And I think Lamar Jackson is the opposite of Kyler Murray when it comes to the leadership and everything he commits and all the work that he does. And I'm not even sure that – actually, I'm positive. I don't think he can throw the ball like Kyler Murray can. But Kyler does not have the same maybe dedication or whatever it is. I'm jealous of guys like Steve Wilkes because I look at the Panthers and I'm like, how are you guys playing this good of defense? Like, the talent to me looks pretty similar on both sides. And the Panthers defense just plays way better than anything that I could hope for from the Chargers for a complete game. There's stints where the Chargers can look really good, and then they look absolutely like a catastrophe out there. And I'm like, what's the difference? Coaching.
And what's rough is that in those games, like those stints are literally like 2 drives long and then 4 drives of batting. So it's like within the same game. It's not even from game to game. But yeah, I'm excited to see the Ravens the rest of the way. I think that they're going to win the division still. It seems like the offense is like, if you can slow down Lamar, you can almost shut down the entire offense. Because Demarcus Robinson even had a really good receiving day. But they got Lamar out of taking off and getting those big chunks with his legs, along with getting the chunks passing the ball as well. Panthers play good defense in this game.
Mark Andrews needs to be healthy too.
Yeah, that's true.
Harrison said the Ravens are frauds.
They feel like they're not frauds. The Panthers are frauds. They've been frauds forever. My entire life, pretty much. They ruined one of my other favorite quarterbacks of all time by just running him into the ground. Something that the Ravens are not doing with Lamar. They're being smart.
What was that? Jake Delhomme?
Keeping him up.
He ruined himself by not learning how to hit 6'5" Kelvin Benjamin in the chest with a pass. You steal enough of those passes, you'd be running too.
He's throwing. Oh, man. Yeah, I think the Ravens are a team that can beat any team that they're going to see in the playoffs, but can they do it 4 straight games? To be seen. We haven't seen it yet. Every year it feels that way. Bills, Browns? Bills back on track?
Eagles are frauds. I guess every team are frauds now.
Yeah, haters. All these people are haters.
Are the Bills frauds?
Frauds.
We could jump around to some of the Bills. You guys, I'm surprised about this outcome because when they moved the game to Detroit in the Bills-Browns, I thought the Browns actually had a better shot at it, and it was going to give Nick Chubb and that offense a little bit more. But I don't know. The Browns have just turned to shit the last couple of weeks and just haven't been the team that we thought. And it's not going to get better. Everybody's like, Deshaun Watson's coming back. He hasn't played football in a year and a half, 2 years. I'm not excited about Deshaun Watson coming back.
So I think it is going to get better. I just think it's going to be too late.
I do think it'll be by game 3 and by game 4 it'll be better because Deshaun Watson is just better than Jacoby Brissett. But I told you, Joe, last week when we did the show, I said the Bills moving this game to Detroit. I told you the Bills were going to win by 10 to 14 points, and this game probably should have been more of a blowout. The advantage that they had was it being a terrible cold weather game and Nick Chubb taking over and them sustaining long drives in cold weather, because it is tougher in those games when it's negative degrees outside and your body's getting beat up. Like, it just is. It takes a different level of mental fortitude to deal with Nick Chubb in a bad weather game than it does. And they did a good job. I don't recall the numbers for Nick Chubb, but it felt like they did a pretty good job of saying, we're going to shut this. We're going to stop this. Jacoby Brissett's going to be forced to beat us. And that was just not going to be the case.
Tony, 14 carries for 19 yards.
Yeah. And
that was
Jacoby
the numbers?
Yeah, that was
those numbers.
It's
Very
worse than I thought.
Yeah.
It's worse than I thought. So, like, that's, again, how nice would it be to have a coach who goes, I know how to stop them. I know what we're going to focus on.
And
Amari Cooper had a hell of a game.
Amari Cooper, again, whoever that dude was who asked the question, trade for Amari Cooper, because I believe it's only going to get better. the Bills, I'll just say it, and I'll say this very quickly. The Bills are so heavily contingent on the decision-making of Josh Allen. If Josh Allen just understands what he has defensively and what he should do on how to pick his spots, the Bills, to me, will be in the Super Bowl. Like, that's the one thing that stops the Bills from going over the edge, is having that little bit of, hey, I don't need to be a hero on this play. I'm going to lose this little battle, and I'm going to win the eventual war of this game. And if that happens, I believe the Bills will be in the Super Bowl. But I don't know. I can't trust that to be the case.
Yeah, and for the Browns, like Jacoby even played good in this game for the most part. When your defense is this, the secondary specifically is this bad, like what can you do? You can't keep up with a team like the Bills. Even, Jacoby Brissett playing his best game, you can't keep up with the Bills. So that defense needs help in Cleveland, and they just need to get through this year, honestly, before that franchise can really see what their outlook is next year.
If they fire Kevin Stefanski, there's like 3 teams that'll hire that guy in a heartbeat.
Probably, yeah. Rams Saints. Rams are officially done. Matthew Stafford's done. They're probably his season might be done. They're 3-7.
Oh, that's another team that started a new quarterback this week too. Said the Rams are going to give Perkins first string reps this week.
Good,
yes.
They should. And I think that's good news for Cam Akers and good news for what's his name? Kyron Williams.
Kyron Williams, who is now the second.
Yeah, those 2 guys right there getting to run the read option. Perkins is one of those players where it's like he's like Tyler Huntley for the Ravens. He can come in and he can run a like kind of a functional spread read option type quarterback play, which, to be honest with you, is going to be more fun than whatever the shit we've been watching the Rams have been doing this year, where it's like drop back. Cooper Kupp is my first read, my second read. And if he's not there, my third read is to throw it away. My fourth read will be Allen Robinson dying on the turf somewhere on the far side of the field. The Saints just continue to piss me off because every 3 weeks they play good football. And I think Dennis Allen's getting fired. I think he's getting the boot. I think he's getting a one and done for the Saints, especially if they think because what we forget, they got aggressive. Remember they were making trades in the first round and traded into the first round to get Trevor Penning. That ended sadly for them. But they thought that they were competitive in this. Moved around so they could get Chris Olave. That's worked out nicely. I think my estimation, should be right there, rookie of the year, with a couple of these running backs. What happened, Saints? And I look at Dennis Allen, I'm like, bro, I don't know. This is weird.
Yeah, I think the Saints are heading toward a rebuild. The QB situation looks murky. The defense looks like it's aged a ton in just 1 year. Alvin Kamara was in trade rumors right before the trade deadline. They got a young receiver in Chris Olave who has some potential. But I think that they're heading down a path where the Saints might have a couple of years where instead of competing for the division in the post-Tom Brady, NFC South, they might be trying to catch up with teams like the Panthers who can get a quarterback and a coach, or teams like the Falcons who are pointing up because they look like they've found their coach of the future. They need a quarterback as well. But we'll see.
His name's Desmond Ridder. We're going to see him in the final games of the season.
We're getting here, getting close to hour 10 minutes. But let's talk about the Jets. Losing to the Patriots on a punt return. Have you ever seen a more Bill Belichick way to win a game other than maybe the 3-pass snow game?
That was, Mike, classic win by Bill Belichick and classic loss by the Jets. There's no better way to describe those two franchises and how they lose. And I feel bad for the Jets fans. And I think that as Chargers fans, you kind of relate to that, right? Where it's like, oh, man, how many different horrible ways can you have your guts ripped out? The Jets making Zach Wilson inactive, in my estimation, is about 2 to 3 weeks too late. Halfway through that first Patriots-Jets game, he should have been pulled He should have been benched, and we should have started your guy right here. Now,
100%.
what I'm about to say, there is a full-on – it's not a controversy at all. There is like a full-on – Zach Wilson is done because Mike White is going to come in to this team, and he's going to get the Jets to the playoffs. We looked at the Bengals schedule. Do yourselves a favor and go look at the Jets schedule. Mike White is going to be starting in an NFL playoff game this postseason right here. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad or whatever, and I don't even know if Mike White's the future. But he's definitely making it look like Zach Wilson is not a viable starter in this league this year. So
you actually know what? Mike White's going to the Super Bowl.
Oh shit! This guy's lost his mind. Mike,
Chicago, Minnesota, Buffalo, Detroit, Jacksonville, Seattle, Miami.
tell me that Mike White can't win 4 of those. The Jets, I'll say, the Jets can't win 4 of those games.
1, 2, 3. I see 3 losses, maybe 4.
Look at where the games are, though. When you're saying, I see these teams and they're going to beat them. Now look at where the games are. It's cold, and the Jets defense, if they can just get some help on offense.
Is Fields like officially out this week?
No, Fields is not officially out yet.
Not officially out.
At Minnesota, at Buffalo, at Seattle, at Miami. Those are some tough games if you think about it.
Yeah, those are tough. The ones that they get at home, they get this win against the Bears, and then you said they get the Jaguars, right? Who's the other one?
We get the Bears, Vikings, Bills, Lions, Jaguars, Seahawks, and then
just give me the home games they have left.
So the home games, the Bears, Lions, and Jaguars.
Win. That's 3 wins. They got to figure out a way. The defense has to figure out a way to win 1 more of those games that you just said. And that's a 10-win team for the Jets, and that's a playoff team right there.
What if they win all 7?
I think it's more than just Zach Wilson, though, too. Since Breece Hall got hurt, this offense is totally different. Michael Carter, James Robinson, you ain't doing shit. I mean, you could say what you want about Zach Wilson.
2 yards in the second half.
And if you go watch it, Joe, it is ugly.
It is.
Look, I saw this. There's a meme going around. It says that they got 1.5 inches per yard in the game. Per play. That's a lot. I mean, I have pretty damn big. I mean, I don't know what people are complaining about.
He looked miserably bad where he's just standing in the pocket. The second anyone even breathes on him, even gets close to him, he doesn't try and evade sacks, doesn't try and make plays anymore like he used to. He just throws it out, hopes that his receiver comes down with it.
The worst thing that he could have done was go to the podium and not just accept that it was a brutal loss in that thing. Because this is now the Patriots are now making a habit of ruining these first-round picks for the Jets. He saw ghosts, Sam Darnold did against Bill Belichick. Now we see the 2-yard performance of Bill. This is what Belichick is doing to all young QBs, but for the Jets, he's doing it on a level where it's almost haunting them in an embarrassing fashion. And if you just go to the podium, Zach Wilson, and say, I have to be better. I will be better. I will dive into the book. I let all other 52 men in that locker room down. And I'm going to spend every waking moment that I can to be better. And I guarantee my performance against Chicago will be improved. And going forward, it will be improved just say the thing. Just speak with passion about how much this means to you and how bad you want it. I get to be a quarterback in the fucking National Football League, and I want to be better. Instead, you go to the podium nonchalantly and just be like, "Yeah, I don't think I let anybody down." Are you fucking kidding me? That was your effort? I've had worse improv shows where I went back there and go, "Guys, I fucking dropped the ball, and I'm sorry that you guys had to perform on a stage with me, and we weren't funny, and I fucked up." About shit that doesn't even matter. About me and my buddies drinking and doing a fucking comedy show in front of 38 people, and I've been more apologetic than he was about a fucking football game. Playing in the NFL. Sorry.
Dude, I think if he would have done that, Tony, what you're saying, and he would have came out and just took a little bit, he would still be starting this week. But I think that going out there and you just saying, "Nah, I didn't hurt nobody." Me going 9 for 22 and 77 yards was fucking fantastic. I did a great job out there. The rest of the team can't say much for them. You know, can't do much for the other 21 motherfuckers that are out there. But I did my job. I mean, not my fault they can't catch a ball when I underthrow it. It's not my fault I can't move around in the pocket. That's what he should have basically came out and said, just throw everybody else on the bus. I think if he would have came out and did exactly what you said and just said, hey, yes, I let him down. Yes, we could play better. I think he still would have been starting this week.
Elijah Moore posted right after the game. I don't know if you guys saw it, an image and a video of him throwing a football, saying, "I'm ready if I need to be called up."
But this is the kind of shit that pisses me off. That's not leader. Turning to social media when you are an NFL player and then piling on a player in your locker room. Like, he's making a mockery of the situation. Bro, you are a talented wide receiver who's looking like you can't play in the NFL because you play a dependent position of a quarterback who can't get you the ball. But don't then go show these other 31 teams you'd like to play for what kind of person you are when shit's not going right. That's bad for you. That's a bad look for Elijah Moore. I like Elijah Moore. I don't fucking want him on the Chargers. You're going to act like that when things don't go well for you? Sorry, bro. There's no room for you in my locker room when that's how you act. You haven't proven anything. You don't get to do that kind of shit even though we think you're super talented. Like, you got to grow up. You can't go fucking make a meme about your own teammate.
Well, things are going to start looking up for my guy Elijah Moore, Tony, because Mike White is back like he never left. And I kind of want to change my pick now. I was originally going to take the Bears this weekend if Justin Fields was going to play, but I kind of want to change to the Jets. You guys want to talk about the Eagles or the Colts?
You want to answer this question real quick?
Oh, yes. Yes, Raja, you should.
Yes, you should. You shouldn't even think about it.
I don't even know why they're offering you this.
Send.
Except
Raja,
Colts, Eagles.
Eagles up by 1.
Colts, Eagles?
Yeah.
This for me was everything you want Jalen Hurts to be. Like, we just talked about Zach Wilson and whatever. Like, if you just measured these two next to each other, like talent-wise, like who's got the better arm, who's a little bit more mobile and athletic, they're both kind of undersized quarterbacks. Who do you want in your locker room? You want Jalen Hurts 1,000 times over again. Like, just the way he shows things aren't going well. I didn't watch this game super closely, but as it got closer into the fourth quarter of the game, I was kind of like, all right, let's put on more. And they're putting on more and more plays as I'm watching on Red Zone. When I go and watch back, they were doing a really great job, had a great game plan to make things tough for Jalen Hurts passing the ball. And then Jalen was like, I'll just run people over. I will do whatever it takes for my team to put them in a position to win this game. Wins, losses, whatever, he just seems to be the kind of person. It's always been talked about what a great leader he is. I don't know if he's necessarily like a long-term franchise quarterback. I personally would bet on him and pay him at least one contract after this. But fucking, this is the wins you need for the Eagles. And then again, the Eagles at the trade deadline, they've been trying to win at every stop this year, every single off season, in the draft, post-draft, trade deadline. They go out and get Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph. And what do those two do? They meet at the quarterback for a sack in the game. They get 2 defensive linemen who've been sitting on their couch all year, and they come in and make a play. Chargers lose 18 defensive linemen, and we go out and get somebody I've never heard of because we need somebody who can play right now. We need somebody who can give us snaps this weekend. How about those guys who gave them snaps and gave them pressures and sacks in the game?
Give him a sack.
I'm pissed off. I'm sorry it took me an hour and 15 minutes to get heated up in this fucking show. We should have started with Zach Wilson earlier.
Yeah. This wasn't Jalen Hurts' best game, but on the topic of him being there in Philly, I think they got to rock with him until he shows that they shouldn't. This guy has been overcoming, kind of like having a guy above him that's more talented than him forever. And finally in Philadelphia, he's getting an opportunity to have undoubted faith from the entire organization, from the entire fan base, from his coach, to just be him and do his thing. He's always had to overcome these big things throughout high school and college and his whole story, and now he's made it to the NFL. This is his time to shine. Go Jalen Hurts. But Joe, what do you think about Jeff Saturday?
I think it's horrible. I don't like Jeff Saturday as the head coach. I know he got the win against the Raiders, and I know he played good right here, but I just think it's still fucking with the whole coaching profession, because basically you're saying it doesn't matter what your background is. You can come in here and you can lead a team, and all it matters is your assistant coach. And sometimes it feels like that because people are saying that the same thing about you could kind of say the same thing about Rich Bisaccia last year with the Raiders, that he was just a special team coach that moved up and didn't do anything. But Jeff Saturday coming off an ESPN studio and coaching a team, I think this performance by the Eagles was more bad coaching, coming off a Monday night loss. And it was just, I think this was one of Nick Sirianni's worst coaching performances. And Jalen Hurts and they were able to overcome it. And look, it's not hard. What Jeff Saturday did for the Colts right now is not hard. You give Jonathan Taylor the goddamn rock and you run the ball, and you worry about it later. Like that's it. That's all he's doing. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. So Jeff Saturday is not doing anything but what they're supposed to do. The only thing I think he's not doing is overthinking it. He's an offensive lineman. Run the ball. But I'm not Jeff Saturday. No, he can't continue. And I think this was the first of the rest of the season's losses for the Indianapolis Colts.
I'm gonna make a point real quick that I haven't heard anybody else. I hope this is the takeaway from the Jeff Saturday experience. There is something to be said about what Rich Bisaccia did last year and how much better and more competitive the Lions have looked. When you have somebody who isn't necessarily a guru, look at what John Harbaugh did as the special teams guy, but then took over. If you hire competent coordinators who spend all week, every waking moment, putting in, blitz packages or blocking protections, different stuff like that, and allowing them to focus on it, and then you can be a motivator and an executive producer of things and making sure things are on time and clock management, and then making the difficult decisions on whether or not to go for things and allowing people to do their job while you oversee everything. You care about all 53 men and practice squad guys and whatever else. If you can do that, that is what success should be. The head coach shouldn't be calling plays offensively or defensively. You should have people that you trust, and in a pinch if shit goes south and you are the defensive coordinator who was promoted to coach, then you take over. You should have coordinators who are doing that shit for you so that you can manage every single moment of the game. Like, we're seeing this be effective for teams to play better, where if you are the head coach, you don't call plays on either side of the ball. You manage moment to moment. In a big spot, you can radio in and say, I want this look. I want this thing that we talked about to happen. But on a moment-to-moment thing, trust these other people where it's their job to do their thing, and you be the fucking motivator. You be the man that gets them through turbulent times. You can't be a down-to-down, focused head in one side. You're neglecting another side of the football.
Yeah, and the assistant coaches are in the NFL for a reason. They also made it to the NFL, and I experienced this at the high school level and the teams that I've been around at the high school level. All of the coaches and head coaches that I've worked with or been around have always been like that, Tony, and that's always been the most productive way to do it. The head coach oversees the whole thing, and the coordinators install what the head coach tells them to install in the offseason. And you go it that way. And if it goes wrong and there's problems and jobs need to be changed, change the jobs to someone that's going to do it the way you want them to do it. It's pretty simple. I do think that the Jeff Saturday thing is kind of ridiculous that they just kind of hired him on a whim like that. But it is paving a little bit of a path for teams to go ahead and say, okay, players who even have like just a little bit of coaching experience, maybe we'll give them more of a look than we had in previous years. I think of guys that come to mind, like on the Colts staff. Reggie Wayne just started coaching in the NFL. But the biggest one that comes to mind when I think of that is when Deion Sanders is ready to come to the NFL and coach. It's going to be a ton of fun.
One guy who's been interviewing every offseason for the last two offseasons, been interviewing the last two offseasons, is quarterback Josh McCown. And every time that he goes to the interview, Everybody's laughing about it, and they're like, Josh McCown, he's never been a coach. He's just been a quarterback for fucking 28 teams in the league. Now, does he get more of a look this year because of what Jeff Saturday's doing?
1,000%, Joe.
He gets a look from the Colts. From the Colts, Joe. I'm calling it right now.
I do think that he feels like somebody that they would take a shot on. And here's the thing: if the Colts, which I believe the Colts are gonna win some football games this year, they're not gonna make the playoffs, but I think they're gonna get back to closer to a 500 record for this season. Just look at how they're playing now that they just are. Everybody's focused on their own thing. This guy who's never called plays before is going out there, and Saturday says, "Here's what I'd like to see happen." But he's out there calling out players on just an accountability level, putting tape on, being, "Look at this. Is this what this is? You want somebody to go to battle with you, and this is the kind of shit you're putting." He's calling dudes out, and nobody wants to sit there and be like, "Man, that was dog shit. I did let you guys down. I'm sorry. I need to be better." Like, that's all you want. And when you are doing that, the thing is like, when you're the head coach, if you're calling plays and you're failing at it, you then also should be able to be on the big screen and be saying, like, "You know what? That's my fault. I shouldn't have put you in that situation," or whatever. If you remove yourself from it and you start disciplining everybody equally, then it's not like, "Oh, well, maybe I was calling bad plays." No, I didn't call the plays. I put everybody in a position to succeed. And then the moments where I worried about timeouts, I worried about down and distance and whatever, in the little tiny nuances, that's all I focus on in the game. Getting everybody in the right direction. Like, it really should be a direction that they should head. You should not be worried about calling defense or offense if you are the head coach. You should have people you trust. Even Andy Reid allows other people to call big plays, and they empower Patrick Mahomes, and they empower all these different people to do shit out there. What the fuck is wrong with everybody?
Yeah, and that's the conversation that that Jeff Saturday should have started. That's, hey, head coaches should be here, and then your assistants do their job. And we've seen that, Tony, with a lot of big name coaches that go from that coordinator spot to the head coaching spot, and they don't want to relinquish some of their abilities. So I think that's the conversation that you brought up right now that is going to be started and has to be started from now on. Baby Joker was born yesterday. Congratulations, Joker. Whoa. Congratulations.
That's awesome. Congratulations. What a beautiful holiday surprise that is.
Well, don't call it on that. We talked about the Bears and Falcons. We talked about the Titans and Packers. That's all the games.
Luke is asking a question. He's saying, do I trade Mixit and Mike Evans for Chubb and T. Higgins?
Yes, again.
Yeah. I like that.
You
I like
that
a
trade?
lot of people moving off of Mike Evans, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
They want to completely, yeah.
Well, who do you guys trust more towards the end of the season? I know you guys are Charger fans, and you're probably a little bit biased, but Tua or Justin Herbert?
Hang on a second. What do you mean trust?
For fantasy season, like, who would you rather have the rest of the fantasy way?
I would rather have Tua. What are you talking? Like, there's no bias from me. For the rest of the fantasy season, who would I rather have? I want the guy whose coach says, "We're going to put you in a place to succeed," not the guy whose coach says, "We're going to run 58 hitches a game."
I want Herbert because he's going to have 25 touchdowns in the last 7 weeks.
I do personally think Herbert's about to go on a spectacular run. But if you're asking me for my advice and what I think you should do, I want the guy whose coach says, "We have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and we're going to use them properly." Not, "We have a guy who can throw it 80 yards downfield, and we're going to throw 7-yard comebacks 75% of the time." That'd be terrible advice to give somebody.
But Tony, remember that 1 3rd and 20 where we threw it deep?
And we got
Tony, remember?
We got the miracle catch from Keenan Allen.
I thought that was a great play by Keenan.
No, it was a great play. It was just kind of like a F it. He's down there 1-on-1. Let's hope he comes down with it type situation. It wasn't like he screwed up to set that play up. They were in 3rd and 20 and had to do that.
Yeah, no, but again,
our coaches suck.
Good things can happen when you turn 6'6", 245-pound Thor the Lord of Thunder loose and just let him go. But Joe Lombardi is he's not even a wet blanket. He's like he's just wet. He's just worse. I'm so tired.
I'm just wondering. I just threw it out there because I have Tua on my team right now, and I have Tyreek Hill, but I was offered Justin Herbert for a wide receiver yesterday. He wants either Mike Evans or Terry McLaurin for Justin Herbert, and I was wondering if it was worth the deal to bring him in or not. So,
I mean, if you have the
looking towards the playoffs, looking towards the fantasy playoffs, you're always looking to get better. I'm looking at Tua's schedule, and I'm looking at the Chargers schedule. I kind of like the Chargers passing schedule against some of the defenses that Tua is going to go against, and that's the only thing.
So again, these are great points to take into account. I didn't factor any of that stuff in. I will say the other thing that doesn't bode well for Tua is I think he has a couple of cold weather games, and I personally have been saying that's where I worry about Tua in the long term. Is like Miami better hope they get a lot of home playoff games, because going to Buffalo, going to KC, going to some of these places where you could be playing in some windy, bad, cold weather, that might not bode well for him. It's still, I want the offense. I want the coach. I want the system that says we're going to throw the ball. He's played good defenses this year, Joe, and he still puts up points because he has Tyreek Hill, and the coach is going to use him. They have Jalen Waddle, and the coach is going to use him. They're going to get screen passes. So, if you're asking me who I want as my quarterback, I want Justin Herbert. But for fantasy, I want the guy that's getting an opportunity to put up points. That's not Herbert. They're not letting him do it.
Well, guys, we did.
Morning, I made a trade. I received CeeDee Lamb, and they received Scary Terry and Najee. How did I do? You did good. Najee's crap, so it's all good.
And Najee's not even an asset anymore.
Well, you received two players. You received Scary Terry and Najee, and Najee just had a big game. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I wrote down the 6 where you guys were disagreeing and making fun of me. Somebody went 4 for 6, would have went 5 for 6 if it wasn't for a Rondale Moore injury in the first 5 seconds of the game.
Tony, 4 for 6 and being down by 20 picks in the Pick'ems challenge is not impressive, right?
20 picks? I'm going 4 picks, and you guys switch your picks and change. I forgot Thursday night. Get out of here with all your bullshit.
Tony, I went undefeated in my week pick'ems this week. 14
of course he did. Mike, I love Mike always sends, and I think Mike does it to piss me off. Mike goes, I changed a few of these before. I was like halfway through the games, and Mike goes, yeah, I forgot to tell you guys I changed a few of these. And I'm like, I know he's doing this to get a rise out of me. I'm not even going to respond to this message.
I got to stop because I'm starting to confuse myself now with my own picks. So
with the minute 42 in the Charger game, Mike told me he took the Chiefs.
Yeah.
He sent me the message and I saw it come through and I started typing this long message and I was like, no, he's just doing this to fuck with me and I'm not going to give him the satisfaction.
You guys saw the reaction video I put up where I'm like trying to convince Jay that we hadn't won the game yet. Maybe you should stop celebrating so hard.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because Charger fans, a little bit of Charger fans, like I told you, I was more surrounded by Chiefs fans than Charger fans. But the little bit of Charger fans that were there were starting to celebrate. And I was like, no, you don't do this with Patrick Mahomes. It's like the old Green Bay Packers and Cowboys. You don't leave that much time for Aaron Rodgers. Like, you just knew it was going to come, but it is what it is. It's funny. Hey, tomorrow, Thanksgiving, guys. What are you guys looking forward to the most?
I think I love stuffing and gravy, right? I always go back for a second helping of stuffing and gravy. And then there's one of the aunts who makes really good baked macaroni and cheese, which is always fantastic.
Have you seen that video that says Thanksgiving is not the time to experiment? So if you're gonna try new food, don't bring that shit over.
Yep. My wife does one experiment with the sweet potatoes, which is a gigantic hit. She puts crushed pecans in the sweet potatoes to give it a little bit of crunch, and it actually makes it a little more buttery. She experimented last year, and it was a massive hit. But I do know the part where you're talking about. where the black woman is yelling at her granddaughter for putting like mayonnaise or some shit in the food, and she's yelling at her. And it's one of my favorite videos ever because I've had some bad experiments with food. Don't fuck with my omelet. Don't put cream cheese on the shit. I didn't ask for that.
I'm looking forward to that Dallas Cowboy game tomorrow. That's what I'm looking forward to most.
Hey, I have a video that I'm going to post right now reminding Dallas Cowboy fans of what happened last Thanksgiving with the Raiders.
That's a great way to sign off. We appreciate everyone for tuning in this week. We'll see you guys on tomorrow morning. Pick'em show. Was it 8 a.m.?
8 a.m.
Set for 8:30, but I can get up earlier.
We'll figure it out. You guys will probably be watching the replay, but just check it out. It'll be up on the channel tomorrow. We'll see you guys next week with some more NFL action. Any more remarks before we sign off here?
Steven, Joker, Zero, everybody that's been in here, Luke, Rajay, Harrison. If we don't see you guys tomorrow, have a great holiday.
Yes.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving. Congratulations again, Joker. That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Baby Bolt. Bolt up, Joker.
Buy Exotic Cheifs edit.